Hello, everyone. Welcome to Able Nari, where we spotlight the fearless and fabulous women who are constantly breaking the molds and owning their own space with style, substance, and strength. And today, on our show, My Able Tribe, we have someone who has blended art with the edge. With her boldness and her creativity, she has come up with a magazine called Popp Dapp. A magazine which speaks about fashion, identity, and boldness. So, while she's popping and dapping, let's welcome Anuja Mathur. Hi, Anuja.
Poonam, I'm good. Thank you so much for having me on your platform. I'm so glad to be here.
Yeah, it's truly an honor, and I'm so excited. So, Anuja, first thing first, as you're on a show called Able Nari, so you have to say, "Hi, I'm Anuja Mathur. I am Abla Nahi Able Nari."
Okay, hi. Hi, I'm Anuja Mathur and I'm nowhere in Abla. I am an able Nari.
So, high five for that. Yeah.
High five to you too.
All right. So, Anuja, I am so intrigued and excited. This Pop Dap, it's such a quirky and fun, catchy name. How did you come up with it? And what's your story? Like, for my audience, I would like to say that Anuja has done engineering. She's an engineer by background and also an MBA, full degree in business. So, how does this transition occur?
Great, Poonam. So I think as far as the name is concerned for the magazine, so it's the name comes from it's like a pop and a dap. So it's a dual word name. So pop is like from the pop culture. So it's very relevant to our theme, our magazine, our the media company that we are. And dap is like dapper, a bit quirky side, a bit on the edge. So, I never had a thought of starting a fashion magazine. Never ever in my life I had that, intention of getting into business and having a magazine. I mean, magazine was altogether a different story in my head. But, starting a business was also never in my mind. So, as I rightly said that I'm an engineer by my background. So, I did my engineering, then I did my MBA. And while I was doing my engineering, I had in my mind that I'll do a MTech or probably I'll get into a conventional job or, go abroad and work there. So I mean, that's what all the engineers think about. And then, destiny changed the way I gave CAT. I got like good percentage in that. I thought of trying my hand in MBA because at that time, MTech was not that much intriguing to me. So doing MBA polished me a lot because engineers are as such very rough, very raw, and we are always ready to take chances in life. But MBA settled me down. It taught me the essence of life, how businesses work and how people have tried and failed in their life. So in that way, I matured a little more doing my MBA. But then again, after doing my MBA, I thought of getting into a job. I worked for IKEA for a year or so. But then, something clicked, something switched in my mind, and I thought of having something of my own. Still, magazine was nowhere in picture. But then fashion was something which was always there around me. As a child, we always had fashion magazines lying around our home like anything. And that was only coming from a point of loving fashion, not as such getting into fashion as a business. That was always like, they are so quirky, they are so fun, and, having glossy pages in the house. I mean, it enhances your, style sense and everything. And it's always good to show off in front of your friends. So that was the base of fashion. And I never thought that I was, manifesting all that since my childhood. So then again, I thought of having a business on my own and, starting a magazine. It just happened in a fluke. So one day, me and my brother, we were chatting and he said that, why don't you start a magazine? Just, like a tease, he said that, when you hate the content floating around so much, why don't you have something of your own? Just have your own voice. So that's how the concept of Pop Dap came into existence, and then I figured out that how this whole industry works. what all formalities need to be done, because registering for a company, we are all are aware about that, right? That it's a private limited company, it's a partnership company, and we are well aware of that structure. But when it comes to, when it comes to media houses or magazines, we don't have any idea, because it looks very aspirational. Like, who thought that a person can start a magazine? We can only read Vogue or Elle or Bazaar, but you cannot think of having your own magazine. So then I read a lot about that. I met a lot of people, and then I got to know that there is a different channel through which you go. So there's a lot of hidden trial that happened, because I never had a background of media or fashion for that matter. So it all came very new to me. And I think this is the main point wherein the whole novelty of the magazine came into existence. Because I never had a conventional sense of how would a magazine look like. I only aspired for Vogue, how fancy it looks, and you have celebrities over there, and you have a cover page wherein you put, Shah Rukh Khan or Deepika Padukone, but you don't know how that works. So, I learned my way through it, and it's been 5 years since I've started the magazine. Hopefully, touch wood, we have come to a point wherein I can share my story and probably inspire, probably even if I inspire a single girl, I'll be more than happy and contented in my life. So this is like the gist of whole thing.
And I must say that you're not inspiring just one single girl. You have been inspiring many women out there. And Anuja, what I'm really intrigued that half a decade you have already completed. It's no small feat, It's a big deal. But times are changing rapidly. As you spoke about your childhood, in childhood, the only way of knowing about fashion or celebrities, as you said, were magazines. The source used to be the magazines. I remember we used to have, like we have Netflix subscriptions nowadays, we used to have magazine subscriptions those days back then, right? But times are changing. So how are you coping up? Because biggest of the issues are also, magazine are finding it challenging to stay and still be relevant. So what is Popp Dapp's business model, and what are the vision and objectives did you land on the floor with? What are basically the ethos of Popp Dapp?
The times are changing, and I mean, I grew up in 90s, so that was a time which was pre this digital era. So we grew up watching internet come along, and we used to buy CDs and get the internet at our home. So now the times have completely changed. I'm lucky enough that I have seen both of these times. So print is something which I root towards. I love having a print magazine as my forte. But then again, it's a hybrid model that we are operating on. PopDap is not just a print magazine. We have diversified into a global media house right now. So we are operating in 5 different countries now, and we have recently expanded into UK. So I think these are the markets which we never thought of exploring before, because we didn't have the connection, the kind of reach that we have right now. And thanks to internet, thanks to AI right now, that you can reach everywhere, anywhere with full authenticity, and get your content there, and also get content from those people. So I think the basic model that we are operating on right now is a complete hybrid model, which is print is our base, because that is where our authenticity comes from. And digital is a platform wherein we are expanding like anything. So news is one which we are covering. So we are covering news and stories from all across the globe. We are having our own podcast. We are having blogs, and we are having like a travel issue. So this is the domain wherein we are trying to stretch our legs, because initially it was a complete bootstrap company. I started with my own money for that matter, and we have recently got funded with our first round of funding. So now we have the capacity to probably expand in different geographies, in different continents, in different markets. Because, trust me, Poonam, we have market for everything right now. I think I don't know how people crib about, businesses not working. They don't know how to, reach out to different people. But if you have your skills intact, if you know your work, if you are competent enough, if you are hardworking enough, just get your head down and do the work, and you will have the market to sell your product, to reach out to people, and people are more than enough, more than accepting to share their stories, expand to different continents. I never thought we'll get so much of acceptance from UK. because London and those markets are very orthodox in nature. They're not very open to different cultures, they are not open to different experimentations. But the kind of acceptance we have received from those markets is overwhelming for us. So I think, unless you try and fail again and again, you do that, you would never know, what are your capabilities and how would you expand that. So right now our model is completely, trying, experimenting, because it's just been 5 years, though it's like half a decade, but it's just been 5 years for us. Because the magazines that we are competing with, they are 30 years old, 40 years old. Vogue is like, it's like, the Bible of fashion. So, we can never imagine of, standing in the same court as they are. But still, they are 30 years ahead from us. So we still have a long way to go. It's just been 5 years for us, touch wood, in 5 years from now, we'll be in a much better position than we are right now. And things are moving, things are getting better, and let's hope for the best.
Yeah, Anuja. So that makes me now think about, you have shown me a very hunky dory that the world still has the goodness around it. And since my show is all about able Naris and to basically inspire all those women who have so much in themselves, but either they have fear of failure or they have their own preconceived notions in mind. So I would like to understand, because see, nowadays we are thriving on startup culture. We have female entrepreneurs, and as you said, you're bootstrapped and you have recently got funded as well. So, what are the challenges? What are the power struggles being a woman? Because a man can still, it's a marketplace for man, when it comes to industries. But you are in such an industry where, of course, females are still making their own mark in business sense. You're a pretty lady, you can be a model, you can be in front of the camera, but behind the camera, if the ladies are making their mark, so how are you dealing with those challenges, those power struggle? And if I may say so, or ask rather, you know how it's all about casting couch in film industry. So in order to get the funding, is there anything called funding couch in the business scenario? How does a female deal with all of that?
So, Puram, I think you have very rightly encapsulated it all, that it's a man's world. I mean, howsoever we can negotiate, we can discuss about this, but still, it's like the domain that I am into, or business as a whole. It's a very masculine world out there. And the reason behind that is our evolution. Men were the providers, we were the nurturers. I mean, that's how the evolution started, right? So, and it was very balanced in nature. When we were hunters and gatherers, the men used to hunt, they used to get the prey at home, and we used to cook and nurture and give birth to child and everything of that sort. And it was very balanced, and there was no power dynamics back then. But then problems started when providers became earners, when they started earning money, and when money came into picture, then there sort of a hierarchy started to build, that whosoever is earning money is above the person who they are giving money to. So the whole concept of nurturing got demeaned a bit. And I understand it completely right now, that I am a woman and I am living the man world, and there would be points wherein I would have to prove myself in a stronger way than a man could, and I don't hesitate in that. And while I was climbing my ladder, and while I was trying to get to different VCs and giving my presentations, trying to make them understand what how my model works, I was very patient in that sense, because I was never in a haste of getting the money and making my company a bigger company than what it is right now. I was very I was very contented in my own zone. I started from a point wherein I thought I'll be bootstrapped throughout my life. I was very okay with that. Yeah, so I was very happy, with the kind of money I was making. I was very happy because as a person, I'm very contented as a person. So I would never go leaps and bounds and try to change the world in one go. So I thought of growing myself, getting myself more knowledge about how this world works, and that's why I was very slow and I was very persistent with my steps moving towards money, as we talked about. And the whole problem and the whole power dynamic come when money comes into picture. Because before that, I think if I would go to a particular person and offer my services to them, it's completely fine. Giving them a feature and they'll be more than happy to be in the magazine. They'll be, they'll be more than happy to promote my magazine. But when I'll ask for money, then the eyebrows will be raised. Then it's like, okay, let me see, and we will talk about this, and let's talk next weekend or something like that. So that sort of rejection I faced a lot. Probably I approached to 20 different VCs, gave the same presentation with the same enthusiasm, with same smile on my face, and that I'm very excited to be here and everything. But I failed every time. And I was okay because I started from a point wherein I never thought of it as being very aspirational. That I would have to have a VC funding done in order to run my company, because I was okay running my company with my own pace. So I think it's very important for a woman to choose her own battle. So what you want to fight, who you are fighting with, whether it's important to fight or not. I think a lot of times we just fight because we love fighting. If somebody has said certain things to us, we love giving them back, and putting up the flag of feminism, and how can you say that? But a lot of times it's very important to choose and be silent and restrain yourself, and then grow, and then gather your strength and come back even stronger. And I think the major strength lies in your work. If you know your work, if you are doing something which is profitable for the society as a whole, then nobody would stop you. People can put up hurdles in your way. You would not get the funding in the first go or second go or 20th go or 50th go, but there'll be one fine day wherein you will get that. I think, yes, I have faced a lot of tricky situations wherein my skills were judged later than my fancy appearance was. So in this world, I think it's very important to look decent. But while looking decent, you might be misunderstood as being very into the face, and you're trying a lot, and you just want to look good and get the funding rather than showing your skills. So I think that sort of a misconception is always there in people's head. So I think I had faced that a lot, but it's good that I come from a point of privilege, because I come from a good family wherein my father, my mother, they are very encouraging. My brother is very encouraging. So I never had that sword hanging on my head that I have to get the funding, and by hook or by crook I need to have money in my account to run my magazine. So I think every girl's journey is different, and that's how her choices will become very different. So my choices came from a point of a slow pace, a very consistent, persistent effort, and not from a haste. So I think but one thing is common in every woman's journey is choosing your battle. It's very important to choose who you're fighting with, whether he or she is stronger than you, bulkier than you, more powerful than you. Then just restrain yourself, gain that power, become that strong enough person who can fight with the other person. So I think this is what I have faced in my journey, and it's been a nice experience. But while asked me that question the back then, I would have answered in a different way, probably cribbed a bit, nothing is happening, nobody is giving me money. But now, since I have found my way out, so now I can, retrospect in a way that, everything worked out fine.
So, thank you for sharing that, because it really takes courage to be out there in the market and actually carve your niche, make your own mark, make your own path. So, congratulations for that, Anuja. But I'm sure you're in a creative field, and plus you have a vision that, as your brother said, that if you want to do something meaningful and different, why don't you land up with your own space in the internet or in the print media? So, how are you dealing with those mental burnouts? Do you ever get feeling that, why am I doing this? Is there a need to really do that? Am I trying to prove any point over here? Or what am I really doing? So, do you have those kind of identity crises and mental burnouts where you just don't want to do anything and really give up? And then, what are the tools that makes you bounce back?
Nice, Puram. So I think every person's journey is very different. So in my case, things came very naturally to me. So my whole journey has been very organic. So what I am doing right now is something that I always wanted to do. So this is like I'm living my dream. So I wanted to have my own business, and magazine is something which was aspirational to me. So it's like marrying your dream person. So if I'm married to my dream guy, a prince on a white horse, so why would I crib? So right now I don't crib about the kind of work that I'm doing, but yes, a lot of times it happens that it's physically very exhausting. That a lot of times it's not that feasible to travel altogether, because we are living in India, wherein these powerhouses are very they are probably spread out in different locations, and those locations are very limited in their resources. That I majorly work from Mumbai. So yeah, so when it comes to the burnout that we're talking about, so it for me it's more physical than mental. So because since I have entered into my 30s, I think I've realized that back pains happen a lot. So that is the kind of burnout that I feel. Because mentally I have always been like a very strong person. I love working hard. I love thinking because I am a very introvert kind of a person. So I love reading. So work is very natural to me. So I don't have a problem working 24 hours a day mentally. But physically, a lot of times it becomes very exhausting to cope up with the whole, day and night schedules. So whenever I'm traveling, when I'm going to different places, I think that's the kind of burnout that I feel. But yes, there is sort of, a fear which is there in my head, is that the kind of expansion that we are into right now, a responsibility comes with that. So people who are collaborating with us, people who we are hiring, so it comes to me that I am responsible for their careers right now, because it wasn't there earlier. We had a very small team of 2 to 3 people, and I was very, it's a very hunky dory situation that you're working with 4 or 5 people, and you're more than happy doing that. But now that we are expanding, we are bringing in freelancers, we are bringing in different media houses, PR houses. So the responsibilities grow with time. And I think that brings in a bit of, fear in the head, that what if I fail? What if I don't have money in my account? And how would I pay my, my employees? So I think that sort of a fear is always there. But I think it's very important for a person to be fearful at times, because that pushes you to push your boundary. Because have I not had that kind of an experience in my life of not succeeding in the first go, I would have had like a very different picture of success altogether. That it happens, you just try a bit and it will happen. But now I know that you would have to try 30 times in order to get a work done, and I'm okay doing that. And I think which is why I am at a point right now where still I am learning my way into the industry, and I don't have a a plan in front of me. I don't have a layout of how the things would work, but still I am on my toes every single day with the same enthusiasm, and I'm very grateful of the opportunities that I'm getting, talking to people who are interested in how women are operating in this world. So I think it's a good world that we are living in. We would have to face rough patches in our lives, but I think it's equally important to face those patches, because unless you face that, you won't grow as a person. I wasn't this person, 5 years back or 3 years back or 2 years back or even a month back. I had my own notions in my head, which I break every now and then. So, it's been like a lovely experience for me. Sometimes it becomes challenging, mentally, physically, both. But I think it's the love for what you do that keeps you going.
So, thank you for sharing that, Anuja, because I would like to now reiterate for my audience, for my able tribe, that the devil is not outside, the devil is inside you. And you really don't need to have plans always, as Anuja said. And for last 5 years, every day she has been just waking up, making her own way, thinking about, okay, let me just step out from the bed and step out from my house. And she's actually finding very good catalysts who are able to let her pop dap actually popping in a most dapper way. So that's really nice. Yeah. So, you have been talking about how you cope up with the whole scenario of physical burnouts and coping up. So nowadays all of us have become very tech oriented. You know, we have a tracker for our steps, we have a tracker for our meditations, for our chantings, and for our period tracker or fertility. So much is there. So how much is so much is good or bad? Because uh, it's somewhere also drifting us from our natural body signals. You know, there's too much of over dependency. So what is your thought process in terms of pros and cons of such femtech applications, apps, and in longevity, what is the aim for such businesses? If you can throw some light on that, please.
Absolutely, Poonam. So I think femtech is not a tech colored in pink color, I suppose. So, it's something which is for our own utility. So, when we think about femtech, we only think of period trackers or, our fertility tracker or things like that. But I think there is a lot bigger domain. It's $1 trillion industry right now, but a very less amount of investment is going in that because there's a lot of hush hush involved in that, because as such, female issues are not talked about on different platforms in the way that they needed to be. But right now different companies are coming up, different startups are coming up who are investing in this sort of a domain. And when you talk about longevity of femtech, I think it's there for our own utility. There is nothing. It's not a hoopla which is coming to the market just for making money. Because the kind of times that we are living in, we cannot track everything up on our own, right? So in order to be fast paced, in order to move step by step with our contemporaries, it's very important for us to have these sort of supports in our day to day life. And period tracker is being one of them. I think we used to write down in the diaries or just pin in our mobile phones that how would we track it. But it's so mentally consuming that a lot of times it becomes very overburdening for us to plan our travels, because some of us who are traveling, it's a hell lot of a load on our head, that okay, if we counting the days, okay, probably this day I cannot travel, so it's like it's a hectic thing for us. But right now, an app doing that, it's very convincing. It's very convenient for us to just keep a track of that. And fertility tracker being one of them for the married women, I think for them starting a family or even just planning a baby, it's very important to have tech handy with us. The only reason why there are eyebrows raised on that is that because we never thought of female health in a very serious way for the longest time. You won't believe that human anatomy was learned on a male body for the very long time. It's just been a decade or so that doctors are learning anatomy on a full female body. So a lot of things about female anatomy wasn't people were not aware of that. So let alone being the fact of discussing that. So right now, yeah. So right now we are in a space, we are privileged enough to bring out our voices. We are talking about that. We are open about that. So it's not something which would come in the future. It is something which is happening right now to us, and we need a support, a help, an app which can help us to perform better in the industry, right? And the only reason why these femtech apps are still struggling their way in the industry is that there are a lot of VC funding which is happening to different apps which are very redundant, very boring, very they're very shabby, and you don't think about them earning money in the future, but still VCs are investing in that because a lot of different politics is involved in that. A lot of things are involved. But when it comes to femtech, an app or a particular gadget which is designed for women health or women pleasure or anything like that, it's a very it's a very uncomfortable conversation to have. And just imagine yourself in a boardroom talking to different people, pitching your product, which talks about women altogether, and there are like 10 men sitting in front of you who won't even understand. Right. So these are the barriers which are still there. And for example, like for us, if we talk about men's health, I think we won't be very skeptical about it because we know that what sort of things exist, and we are open talking about that. But in the reverse role, the situation is not the same, because men are not very accepting about having that sort of discussion in the boardroom. And even if they are discussing about that, investing in such product, they think that it's a niche in which they're investing. But we are 50% of this world, so we are nowhere niche, right? So we are equal in the population as men are, but this sort of education is not there out there. So I think education is important, and being open towards experimentation is important. And more than that, being considerate about our fellows is very important. And men are not the people who are we are fighting with. We are collaborating with them. So this whole concept of women versus men. I know I find it very funny because never in my life have I fought with a man in order to prove my point. If somebody is not understanding my point, okay, just leave it then and there. So probably there will be a point wherein my product could be competent enough in order to make them understand that it's profitable. But when it comes to femtech, there is a huge market in the future. So whosoever is trying to build up a product, a service, an app, or anything of that sort, I think there is a $1 trillion industry which is waiting for them to work. So it's a huge market. It's a very useful ideology altogether, and people just need to be very open and accepting about that.
So, Able Tribe, you have a billion trillion dollar industry ahead of you. So, you can definitely venture into that. And definitely, Anuja is available on Popp Dapp and on her personal Instagram profile. So, you can just reach out to her for mentoring, for any of such ideas, ideation, and consulting. I'm sure Anuja would be able to help the Able Tribe for sure. So, Anuja, yeah. So, Anuja, tell me one thing now, very candidly. How many times you have gone for your magazine and people rather told you, why don't you become model?
Please, it's like never happened, because the way we are talking right now, I am a very awkward and shy as a person. So I'm an introvert as a person. I've never been very outgoing in my life. And since I've started my business, I needed to be that outgoing and available for different people. But as a person, I am very timid. I am very shy and awkward for that matter, and I'm not social at all. And it's an irony for me to be in an industry which wholly depends on being social. But I am not social, so it is like I'm comfortable that it's never happened to me, that people have tried to project me into a different role that what I am. Like I reach out to people as an editor of the magazine, and I think I'm comfortable being that. But thank you so much for asking that question.
When I was giving the introduction of Able Nari and what do we really do on this show, this is what we talk about, that our Able Naris are constantly breaking the mold. So she said timid, introvert, shy, and what is she doing in the world? So see, if she can make a mark, anyone can. Anuja, you're truly an Able Nari and really inspiring so many women out there. So on that note, what do you want to say first to yourself as a younger self, maybe a teenager Anuja, maybe Anuja in her 20s, and what do you want to say who have missed the bus in their late 40s or in 50s? Do you have any message for all these able kanyas and able naris?
I'll be more than happy to share that. So, to my younger self, probably when I was in my teens, I would suggest her to be exactly the way she was, because the experiences that I've had in my life are very varied. So, I have done everything, Poonam, I tell you. When I was in my school, I was a notorious kid, though I wasn't very outgoing and very vocal about my, naughty behavior, but I was very notorious. I was good in studies, but I was never a studious person. So I have tasted everything in my life. So to my teens, I would say that just be exactly the way you are. Just enjoy everything that's coming your way. Take every wrong decision. Do everything that you have done in your, in your teens. To my 20s, I would ask her to explore herself more, because I was very serious at that point. That now I have like done my BTech. Now I'm doing my MBA, so I have grown up. So that time I had a notion in my head that I have grown up, I have become matured enough, and I would take the responsibility of my home, and I would earn that sort of a money, and I was very shrewd on myself. So I burned from both the sides. I worked a lot. I studied a lot. I gave in my 100%. But then again, I lived my life to the fullest because I have done my MBA from Pune. So Pune and Mumbai have been like, a game changer for me because the life I've lived there, different sort of people I've met. I have lived with a lot of people from different corners of India. So I think that has given me a lot of exposure because I am from Lucknow basically. So I did my yeah. So I did my 12th. I did 12th. I was here. I did my BTech from here, and then I moved to Pune. So it was a cultural shift for me. So it was like very shocking that people from different corners of India can be very different, and still there is a link which we can create between them. So to my 20s, I would always ask her to be a bit lenient on herself, that you will figure it out, and there is no point beating yourself so hard. And to the people who are probably in their 40s or 50s, who thought too much before taking any decision, I would ask them that just take a decision, just do something, whether it's right or not, you'll figure it out in a very long scenario. Just if you just keep doing your work, taking a decision, even if it's a wrong decision, you'll still have a good learning in your life. And I think, life is not a pattern thing. It's a very random. Life is very random. There is no pattern in life. There is no rules that apply to life. And nobody has said that you will figure it out. So nobody can figure out life in a complete way. So it's a random life that we are living in. You might succeed, you might not succeed, you might be happy, you might not be happy. But I think the mentality of having a contented life. So whatever you have right now, just be contented in that. And don't think too much about success or failure, because failures happen on a day to day basis. I might start a project right now and fail tomorrow. I might start a project today and succeed tomorrow. So there is no guarantee of a successful career. Even if you do every right thing, then also there is no guarantee that you'll succeed. The only thing which is guaranteed is working on yourself. Just keep working on your physical appearance. Work out every 5 times a week. Just work on your mental health. Have a good skin. Try to have a good skin. I think these things help a lot. Just working on yourself, making yourself better every day, learning a lot, keep talking to people, learn as much as you can in your life, study everything, read books, watch podcasts, such amazing podcasts that Abel Nari is manufacturing. So watch every sort of content which is floating around. Don't just watch for the sake of an adrenaline rush. Just watch for the sake of inspiring your mind every other day. And I think we all talk about we deserve much better, but I think what we deserve changes with our knowledge. Probably I deserve X amount of thing right now, but if I grow much better in the future, I'll have like X to the power 2 in the future. So you don't know what you deserve. So a lot of young girls, I think they debate a lot about, I deserve much better. But how do you know what you deserve? There is a huge market who's there to bash you like left, right, and center, and nobody would ask you that whether you're not you're deserving or not. So unless you are sure about your own value, unless you are sure about your own journey, nobody in the world can assure you about your capabilities. So it's you and only you. And we all talk about it, हम अकेले आए थे अकेले जाएंगे. It's very true, and I truly believe in that. You are living a life alone. All the people around you are your support system, and just consider them to be that way. Even if somebody is bashing you, they are also making you learn a particular subject in your life. So have a very positive mindset about everything in life, and just take it easy. Life is a lovely thing, and I think our experiences are a lovely teachings that come our way. So just enjoy life, just learn everything that's coming your way, experiment a lot in life. Don't just confine yourself in the brackets of study, and if you've done your BTech, you'll only do MTech and you'll only get into research field, or if you've done your MBA, you'll only work into an MNC. Don't think about that. Just do whatever comes naturally to yourself, and just give your heart and soul to it. Work your ass out. So work like anything. And nothing beats hard work in this world. People might say that, you need to work smart, but I think smart work is sometimes becomes synonymous to laziness because we don't want to work. That's why we always think of, doing it smartly. So I think I have experienced that firsthand that doing something every day, 24 hours a day, it won't burn you out. It would only make you a better person. It would, give you opportunities in your life that you've never thought about. And just be very honest to yourself. Don't fool yourself. So, whatever image you have created in your head, just let that image sink in like anything. So don't make yourself think that you're very smart, you're very deserving, you're very, yeah, you're very up in the market, and you deserve a lot better than what you have gotten. But trust me, girls, you don't deserve anything unless you make yourself capable of that particular opportunity. So with that, I think life will become easier once you have a lot of experiences of different sorts in your life.
Really nice, Anuja. You have summarized the whole journey of Abla to Able. So you have shown that taking that first step can actually interplay, interchange from Abla ka A to Able ka E. It's just a matter of changing that vowel, as I always say, A to E, and that is your first step. Taking every day, every moment, and even if you're overthinking, even if you have fear of failure, even if you have self doubts, just go out there and figure it out. And as Anuja name says, Anuja, ja, jile apne sapne. So go out and fulfill your dream. So I want all the young girls to become Anuja. So, Anuja, thank you so much for having an open and candid, honest conversation. It's so inspiring to all of us, to my able tribe. You have really shown that courage and so much of clarity about everything, blended with creativity, can really change the game.
The pleasure is all mine, Poonam. Your platform is providing voices to the people who needed to be heard in the society. And the kind of conversation we have had today, I think it's tremendous because it's, the kind of sync we had, it was amazing. So I think the pleasure is all mine, and it's a complete, I'm very glad to be on this platform. And hopefully, our conversation would reach to a girl sitting in the nook and corner of India, and she would pick up her laptop and start studying and start learning about different things, and probably achieve something very amazing in her life.
Absolutely, you said it, Amin. And as we are doing this cause together, I have a hashtag which is called "Let's Do It Together." So there is this sign which we do. Let's do this together.
Together.